Can y'all hear me now? Oh my word, I'm like double muted over here. All right, we got some people trickling in. So anyway, like I was saying though, before I realized I was muted, is if y'all are watching this after we're done going live, you can still drop a comment, still talk about whatever content suggestions you want, ask any questions. I'll still answer them. Good to see Tater Stiltskin over here. That's an awesome username. Oh my word, I love that. I feel like I was just here. You were just here on my other live stream with Dear Woke Christian. Go subscribe to him too if you're watching this from my angle. Hey Eric, nice to see you. So I'm gonna have to move out to another location pretty soon at the venue I'm at right now, but we'll continue it from there. So today I'm going to talk real quick about some of the things that I offer you on this channel, some of the value I bring. I'm going to be thanking you guys for the road to 100, and I'm going to be revealing some sneak peeks of some of the projects I'm working on at the moment. So drop your questions, drop your comments, and drop your just anything you want to ask about me, about the channel, whatever it is. Yeah, just go ahead. So we already got one, and I'll save most of them for the end as I talk, but we got one here. What sparked you to start this channel? Well, so I'm a strong believer in the idea that God has given us gifts. These aren't always spiritual gifts. They're gifts of maybe a passion for something, maybe intelligence in some sort of realm, some fascination for a topic. And for me, that's apologetics. So I believe strongly that if God gives you a talent for something, you better use it for good. You better use it for His glory. And so that's what I do on this channel. I figure it's not good for me to just be sitting around. If I have a lot to contribute and a lot of knowledge on a certain topic, it's important for me to share that, right? And if people hear it and they say, "Oh, I think this is a bunch of nonsense," that's fine too. They can do that. They can dismiss me, and that's totally fine. But all I ask is that people hear me out. So that's what I do out here. That's part of the reason I started this channel. Just packing some stuff up, so I'm a little busy here, but okay. It's good to see y'all. Thank you, by the way, to everyone who is here, whether it's live or after the fact. Sorry, we had some noise in the back. I had to mute. Yeah, so thank you everybody who's been here to just kind of, I don't know, just support me on this way. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But I just ask that people give me a chance, just like with anybody. So I won't be answering like a ton of personal questions about like my personal life, because I want to stay anonymous and all that. But I will reveal to you. We have one question from Eric. Hey, Eric, nice to see you, by the way. He's asking me, okay, did you go to Bible college? Right. So I'm not going to reveal a whole lot about my background in education, and I'll answer that question though. But I did not go to Bible college. No, I did not do that. A lot of my knowledge, not all of it, but a lot of it is somewhat self-taught, listening to other people who know what they're talking about and going through what they believe. But a lot of what I believe in is I don't believe personally that if you have letters next to your name, you need to be believed about what you talk about automatically. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, use that type of thinking. And that's not, by the way, that's not a slight against anybody who goes and gets higher education. But I just believe that arguments need to be assessed on their merits, not based off of just some super strict credentialism. This is what we were talking about with Brandon on our last live stream. We were just over there. He was talking about, well, I've done a Bible quiz one time. I won a Bible quiz championship one time. Well, okay, you won a Bible quiz championship. He's even, I think, got a degree from a Bible college somewhere. And yet the man knows absolutely nothing about what he's talking about, right? So just because someone does have an education in something doesn't mean that I need to believe what they say just because they said it. I believe in what I believe Ronald Reagan said. It was him who said, um, "I trust but verify." That's the phrase. Trust but verify. And even Eric here is agreeing. He says, "I agree with that. Just because they have letters next to their name doesn't automatically make them right. It might make them reliable. It might be important, and that's completely, I'm not trying to disparage anybody from that whatsoever. If you've earned an education, absolutely, that's something important. I'm not trying to disparage that in any way. But I'm just saying, I don't think people need to be automatically believed, as Eric rightly points out here. So, let's see. So I'm gonna I'm gonna be moving out of this space real quick. So I might have to go uh, muted for just a little bit. But in the meantime, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the two projects that I've been working on lately. Discuss some of the changes to the channel. So if you've been subscribed for a little bit, you might have noticed my YouTube banner changed a little bit. Let me see if I can I should be able to show you a little something here. I'm trying to figure out these, let's see, trying to figure out the logistics of this whole thing. Oh my word. Let me get this going. Let me share my screen with y'all really quick and show you my new YouTube banner. Okay, maybe I can't get that going just yet. But either way, if you look at my channel banner, it's new. I got a kind of a new 50s style font going on. I've decided to change the theme a little bit to be a little more like 50s style because I've been doing a lot more trad, anti-feminist stuff lately, and so I figure that's kind of a good aesthetic. Um, if I can get this to work, I'm going to show you some of the new projects I've got going on. But yeah, so ask any questions you want. We also got Jason over here telling me I'm not confident. Whoops. Says I'm not confident that he completed Bible college. Well, that's an important thing too. Let's see. Just give me 1 second as I move out here. All right. So, all right, yeah. So ask any questions y'all want. Again, I'm not going to stay here for a whole lot of time if there aren't too many questions, but I just thought I'd do this to thank y'all, and I just want to say, it is really valuable to me that I do have so many people who are interested in what I have to say, and I work hard to cite my sources and show y'all what I'm saying is true. If you watch my other live streams with Jason talking about Brandon, he doesn't cite his sources, or when he does, he takes things out of context. I don't want to do that. I want to show you what's real, what's going on, and I want to, I'm not here to just make a claim. I'm here to verify it. If I say, for instance, in my new video coming up on feminism, if I say feminists say this, I'm not just going to claim feminists say this. I'm going to show you a headline. I'm going to show you a video clip of a feminist saying the thing so that you can see for yourself. It's not just going to be me making a claim, because you'll notice that's what Brandon does from Mindshift. He makes a claim, but he doesn't back it up. So hopefully you notice some of the important things about that I put a lot of work into. We got 7 people watching. This is pretty good. This is pretty good. Hey, y'all. Good to see you here. So, ask any questions you want about my content, or I don't know, anything else you want to ask. We got some pretty good questions already. We got, why did I start this channel? Um, did you go to Bible college? These are pretty good so far. So, let the questions trickle in here as I get situated for just a moment. Let me see if I can pull up that video somewhere, because I'm going to tell you about my new projects going on here. Anyway, as I search through, I'll tell you about one new project I'm working on, which will be a regular series. It's a little similar to Dear Woke Christian's content on the Dusty Comments. He likes to, as I understand it, and Jason, please correct me if I'm wrong, your Dusty Comments series, you go through and you answer questions after the fact through a video. Is that right? We'll wait for him to respond, but I think that's what he goes through. He goes through and he answers a comment by a video rather than just a literal comment back and forth, which I agree with him. It's not always productive. You know, you go through these back and forths, back and forths. It's not always going to be productive when you just comment like that. Instead, sometimes things need a whole video to respond to. So I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be taking comment threads that I'm involved in and going through and giving commentary on them. And I'm going to be showing you the rhetorical techniques that I use to engage with people in a productive dialogue and show you the types of techniques that they use and the techniques that I use to be persuasive. So, example, in the first one, probably the first one, I'm going to teach you a method of calming someone down when they're coming in hostile. So we've got, for example, this guy, he comes in to my comment section and he says, your beliefs are bogus. This is ridiculous. I don't believe any of this stuff. You are a total idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. And he says, your religion makes no sense because of the Trinity. He says the Trinity doesn't make sense. Explain the Trinity for me if you really know what you're talking about. So that's what he says. He's coming in hot. He's coming in aggressive. And sometimes, we've all been here. We all know we've met with someone like that before. We've met an atheist who comes in hateful or angry, and they're not treating you like a person. They're treating you like the image of the thing that they hate, which is Christianity. So they don't have a problem with you. They got a problem with Christianity, but they take that out on you. So how can you respond in a helpful way? Well, I responded back to him in such a way that instantly calmed him down. In the very next question, or the very next comment by him, he went from, 60 to 0 right away. He went from hostile to a state of friendliness because I treated him like a person, not just like an icon on a screen, which is what you're, which is like what you're looking at right now, right? But that's how I did it, and I'm going to tell you the technique that I used in that video when it comes out. So that'll be my little series. I figure it's because it's a big part of what I do on this channel, which is teaching persuasive techniques. I figure that's a pretty quick way for me to demonstrate, not just by telling you about it, but showing you in real time how it works. Reading through a comment thread, even though it's YouTube comments, it's not a real conversation in person, it's still instructive. And I'm going to show you an example of it to help you understand how these things work in practice so that you can take them into your apologetics yourself. That's important because what a lot of apologetics channels do that I do too, but it's not my entire thing, is they just give you arguments. Now I do arguments, but another part of the value that you're going to get on my channel that you won't get on other ones is the fact that I'm going to teach you how to be persuasive beyond just here's an argument. Because it's, these other channels, they focus on, let me give you an argument, let me equip you with a sword, is essentially what they're doing. One second, I'm going to get some heat for myself here. Sorry if you can hear some background humming. I got to get some heat on in my car over here. But like I was saying, they equip you with a sword, but they don't teach you the footwork. They don't teach you the techniques. They don't teach you how do I use this. To use an analogy from Star Wars, they've got the lightsabers, but not everybody's good with the lightsaber. You can't just hand someone a death stick, right? There's this big glowing sword and expect them to be good with it. They're going to cut their hand off, right? But they have like 7 forms of lightsaber combat or whatever you can learn. A lightsaber is no good if you don't know how to use it, right? Just like a sword or an argument is no good if you don't know how to use it. If you don't know the things to look out for, if you don't know how to use footwork, you're not going to be a good swordsman. If you don't know how to use defensive tactics and attacking tactics, and if you don't know what are the weaknesses of this sword? It doesn't have a hand guard. I better be careful because of that. Or it does have a hand guard, but it's really heavy, which means I got to use it this way. I can't use it this way, like this other sword that's really light. That's not going to work. So that's part of what the value that I bring to you on this channel is I teach you arguments, but I walk you through the logic and I show you examples and I show you my goal is not to just give you what we might say is like, here's what the scholars say, blah, 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 blah. Nobody's going to look up and verify that I've got the scholars right on something. What I want to show you is think of it like connecting the dots, right? If you've done those as a kid, connect the dots. I'm going to show you all the dots on the page, and I'm going to go A to B, B to C, C to D, etc. I'm going to show you so that you understand it because I don't believe in teaching people what to think. I believe in teaching them how to think. That's a big part of what I do. We got a question from Eric. He says, have you always been a believer, raised Christian, or came to faith later in life? So, again, I won't get into too much personal stuff, but I'll tell you a little bit of my story and my testimony. So, I have always been Christian. I was raised Christian, but I was a very uninformed Christian. So, I was taught early in life a lot of what Brandon actually likes to say all Christians are like, or most Christians are like, which is this idea that you're taught what to believe, but not how to, or what to think, but not how to think, right? That was my story. I was up until pretty late in life, honestly, in terms of how old I am, pretty later in my life. I knew all the things that I believed, but I had no clue how to justify them. And long story short, I was confronted by an atheist. And this atheist guy at my school, he would pick on me every day. I would go to lunch and he'd be there. And, I'd sit by him because my other friend sat by him and I wanted to chat with my other friend. But he would just pepper me with questions over and over again. Your God, he's really so good. Why does he do this? And I had no way to answer him. Even on the times when I was able to respond to him, he still had a better comeback. Even though I was like, oh man, I've got a killer one right here. Oh man, I'm gonna get him with this one. He's not prepared for this. He'd still have something to say back to me. I was outmatched and outgunned against this guy. And I was discouraged. It was discouraging me. I could not figure out what to say in response. And I didn't end up, ever, owning the guy or whatever. But that was a catalyst God used that in my life to say, hey, womb, you've got to wake up and you've got to investigate this stuff. You can't just know what to believe. You've got to know how to believe it, how to investigate, how to look into things. First, let me look up the verse right now. 1 Peter 3:15, I believe, right here in NIV version. I'm not a big fan of NIV, as I discussed on our previous live stream. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. But it says, verse 15, 1 Peter 3:15, but in your hearts revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you, to give a reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect. That's a verse that I take very, very seriously. I take that very, very seriously. That's important. You know, it's because it's so true. God does not want us just sitting around and just, oh, I know a lot of the scriptures and I know this, and that's important. That's still good. That's important to have stuff memorized and understand what you believe, even if maybe you wouldn't be able to articulate it to someone. That's a good first step, but it's not the full step. God literally tells us in his word to be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give a reason for the hope that you have. Now, a lot of that can be personal testimony. Maybe you had a religious experience, whatever. But I believe that applies to other things too. It applies to, why do you believe that Christ rose from the dead? Now, that's not the same thing as saying, convince me that Jesus raised from the dead. Maybe you can't convince them, right? It's up to them and the Holy Spirit convicting them, right? Whether or not they're actually going to be convinced. But and that's the philosophy I take. I don't claim that I'm going to convince anybody. What I claim is I'm going to give a reason for the hope that is in me, just as the Bible tells me to, right? And I'm going to do my darndest to accomplish that task. And God has given me, I, at the risk of sounding not very humble, in intellect that allows me to do that. So there you go. And Tater Stilskin says, that's interesting. Looking forward to that, referring to my new series coming up. Speaking of which, why don't we get on to my other project that I'm working on? I was going to show you a little sneak peek of this, but I'm not sure if I can find it anymore. But I'll tell you what it is anyway. So what I'm doing is I'm debunking another video on feminism. So if you went to my channel, I really, really do recommend, I'm not just saying this to get views, I really do recommend my last video on feminism. I think it's my best work so far. It's very good. I talk about the ad hoc nature of feminism, and I'm going to be going through in a lot of my videos teaching you guys about how to analyze theories. And we even talked about this a little bit on the live stream earlier today when we were talking about the idea of how do we interpret a verse, right? How do we interpret something? How do we know which interpretation is true? Well, what we use is sort of what we might call theory analysis, right? And these are things like, we have two alternative theories, right? We have one theory from the feminists and we have one theory from their critics. Well, this one says, such and such, and this one says such and such. How do we know which one's true? Well, we go through what are called the theoretical virtues, and these include things like explanatory scope, explanatory power, degree of ad hocness, right? Which is basically how simple is it? Is it convoluted, right? Like a conspiracy theory is? Like, oh man, how did all these people they're all convoluted together and none of them said anything, right? That's kind of a way we can know that Christ rose from the dead, because we know the alternative theories posit things like conspiracies. They had to be conspiring. Well, if they're all tortured to death and they never said anything, that raises some questions. That's not a very simple theory. All these people had to get together and they had to plan a big farce? Why did they do it, right? Maybe I'll do a video on that one day too, going over all the evidence for and all the reasons why, not just evidence, but reasons why our theory for what happened is the correct theory. So that's part of what I do in that video. But in this new video I'm going to do a debunking. And I'm going to be putting in animations and memes and things like that. So I'm going to try to keep it humorous, going to try to keep it good. And I'm going to be debunking this guy who is talking about patriarchy. And I'm very interested to hear from y'all what you think about it and what your thoughts are on it, if you agree with me or you disagree with me. I actually agree with him on a lot of things. I think that there is a such thing as patriarchy. I think that the Bible actually talks about it to some degree. I don't think it's the thing that feminists call it, though. When they use that word, I think they mean something different. And so I'm going to be debunking his view of that and saying why he doesn't have that accurate, and why patriarchy is actually a good thing. And I don't know if Jason's still in the chat, but I'd love to get a thumbs up from him. I don't know what he thinks on that. I would assume he agrees with me. Patriarchy is a good thing, but it has to be biblical. It has to be biblical patriarchy. It can't be what feminists describe it as this horrible, oppressive thing. I don't believe that's what the Bible teaches us to do to women. But there is absolutely hierarchy in Scripture. There is absolutely a hierarchy involved that allows us to see order in how God has placed our relationships. And I might even do a comment. I'm calling that other series commentary. Get it? It's a pun. Okay. Anyway, though, I'm gonna do a commentary on another comment, maybe with a woman who is, I believe they call him a egalitarian, and talking about how that's a completely bogus view of the Bible. I might as well tell you a little bit just while we're here before I wrap up, because it doesn't seem like we got a whole lot more questions on here. Ask your questions if you want to get them in right now. But I'm going to be talking about how that's a misguided theory. And the reason why it's a misguided theory is because from Genesis to Revelation, we see hierarchy in how men and women interact with one another. And from the very first pages of the Bible, we got Adam and Eve. What's going on here? You have to look at the themes. You have to go deeper in Scripture. You can't just look at what do the literal words on the page just say. You have to notice patterns. You know, if you do an in-depth study of Genesis and even the whole Bible, you're going to notice patterns that aren't explicitly stated in the text, but they're right there. You know, things like salvation through water. That's a theme or a motif, they call it in literature. A motif. Salvation through water, right? Noah's Ark. They're saved through water, right? The water cleanses away the sin of the world, and they're saved above that water. Another example, the Red Sea parting. The Hebrews go through the sea to salvation. Isn't that exactly what baptism is? Yet another example. Baptism. You are cleansed of your sin, literally or metaphorically, or whatever you want to say. That's not what I'm getting at. But what I'm saying is there's this idea of cleansing through water throughout the whole corpus of Scripture. And sometimes you need to look deep. We got Eric coming in, my main man, Eric. God designed an order for human flourishing. Agree. Ever since feminism, the world has gotten worse and worse, especially over the past 60 years. I completely agree. I completely agree with you, Eric. And that's part of the reason why these other alternative forms of patriarchy get it wrong. You know, I completely concur with you. But sometimes they don't go far enough back. You know, they like to say that, well, the real problem with the world started in 1960. Well, the real problem started when we let women vote, or the real problem started in this or that. And they want to go back to they want to tie it to some event, right? And that's true that a lot of these things are bad out there that have happened throughout history, that maybe we thought we were doing something good, but it ended up being bad. I can understand wanting to pin something at a certain point in time. I get that. But the real point in time when everything went bad, and this is what we have to understand, right, is the real point is the garden, right? It's not the 1960s, it's not the 1860s, it's not the 1760s. It's all the way back to the beginning. And that's one of the reasons why we know the feminist view of the Bible, the egalitarian view, is incorrect, because of these patterns in Scripture and these hierarchical understandings. The egalitarian, and this is why I talk about uh, theory analysis and the theoretical virtues, because you can literally, when you're equipped with these tools, as I'm going to equip you, you can go through and literally explain to anybody why feminism is a bad understanding of the world. You can literally show them how egalitarian views of the Bible misunderstand it, because they don't have as much explanatory power. So I'll give you an example. In Genesis, God creates man and woman. And how does the sin happen, right? He creates man and woman and beast. Now, the beast, right, which is the serpent in this case, tempts Eve. And then Eve tempts Adam. There's a reason why it starts in that order. It's not made up. It's not some random, oh, that's just how it happened, and that's how they just made it up to happen, or whatever. There's a specific reason why it went serpent, woman, man. There's a specific reason. And there's a reason why when God confronts them, we see the order again, but this time it's flipped. God first confronts man. He says, why did you do this? I know what you did. Why did you do it? And man points to the woman. And he says, it was the woman you gave me. She tempted me. And then God looks to the woman. And then the woman says, it's not my fault. It's the serpent that tempted me. And then God confronts the serpent. And then he starts cursing them, I think in reverse order yet again. So now he curses the serpent first. And then he curses Eve. And then he curses Adam, or woman, and then man. Right? We keep seeing this sort of xylophone effect, right? Or if you've ever been on a piano, right, as a little kid, you brush your hands across all the keys and you brush them back, right? We kind of see this zigzag of the same order. There's a reason for that. It's not random. It's specifically chosen because it shows us that there's a hierarchy. The beast takes dominion over the woman by trying to influence her. And the woman tries to take dominion over the man. And then the man tries to take dominion over God. That's the whole point of the story, right? And on an egalitarian view, you can show very quickly that doesn't make any sense, because on the egalitarian view, why is there an order here? Why is there a pattern? The egalitarian has to say, don't mind the pattern, don't look at the pattern, right? That's just random. But it's not random. We can literally see a pattern there. So we can know that there is a hierarchy here, that God creates it one way, and the sin happens by completely reversing the order. So anyway, not something I necessarily was going to talk about today, but it's something I am working on. One moment here. All right, I'm back. So, yeah, I guess since I can't find that other video, which is somewhat unfortunate, you guys ask your questions if you're still there. I see 3 people are here at the moment. And by the way, again, if you're here after the fact, by all means, you still can comment. If you're watching this after the live is done, you comment your questions, you comment your concerns, you comment anything. And by the way, I completely allow dissent as well. Here, I found the video for us. I completely allow dissent. If you disagree with me, by all means, you are allowed to disagree. Let me see if I can. I think I got the video. Let me see if I can share the screen, though, with y'all. Maybe I can't. I don't know. But, oh, here we go. Video file. I'll put it in there. I made an intro. Maybe y'all want to comment on it or even just look at it as a sneak peek at what I'm working on. Yeah, here we go.
Honey, Womb to Tomb Apologetics is on.
Today I'm going to be exploring the psychology and beliefs behind patriarchy, toxic masculinity, and misogyny. Patriarchy is a rigid set of beliefs.
All right. So that's just the quick intro to the video, but for those of you who are interested in getting a sneak peek at what the next big video is going to be, it's going to be a long video. It's going to be like, right now it's looking at like 40 minutes. It might even be longer than that. I'm going to really try to trim it down, but stay faithful to the original original video that I'm debunking, because I don't want to misrepresent, you know. But as you can see, these black bars will be gone later on, but if you can see that, I hope you can. And then we zoom in, and I got an AI to copy a voice from somewhere else and speak my channel name to make it sound like it's a family sitting around watching the TV. Oh, Womb to Tomb Apologetics is on. Then I got my 50s font going on, and then I use chroma key to go through and change the screen, and then I got debunking incoming. Let me know what you think of it. If it looks good, especially on that border, I might get rid of that border. Let me know. Is that going to be annoying? That's the whole video, is watching something with a border like that to make it look like it's on the TV. I can zoom it in all the way so the border's gone. So let me know about that. But yeah, Eric, he says, looks good. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And, again, feel free to give me the advice. Again, after this is over, even if you're not watching live, drop a comment. Let me know. Let me know if you watched a recent video of mine and you say, wow, you did really good with this and you could improve on this, because I'm still a new channel, right? That's why I'm doing this. 100 subscribers is important, but that's just the first step, One day I might even be at 10,000 subscribers. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe, God willing. But that'll be something important to do, and to just get those comments in from people who have seen my content. Leave a comment. It really is important. It's not just important to help the algorithm, but it's important to give me advice on what you want to see, because I cover a variety of topics. On my channel, I cover trad and anti-feminist stuff. I might be covering, here's another sneak peek at something, if y'all are watching Dear Woke Christian, I might be doing a collaboration with him talking about leftism soon. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But let me know if that sounds interesting to you. We were thinking of doing an hour of just talking about all the contradictions in leftist theory. So I don't know if any of y'all are interested in that. I usually don't get into politics outside of feminism on this channel, but that was something I thought he would be interested in, just because he deals with the woke stuff. So that might be another project you see soon. But I talk about that. I talk about persuasive techniques. I talk about Christianity. Why is Christianity a better theory of the world than alternatives? And pro-life apologetics as well. So yeah. Well, anyway, I'll let you ask any more questions if you want, and then maybe we'll wrap it up within the next few minutes. But let me know if you watched a video of mine that you felt was really important, even if it was a live stream. Did you watch a live stream with me, and what did you find valuable? I really want to know, what did you find valuable in what I contributed? And what could I have done better? Let me know. Here learning. So I don't know, maybe somebody's typing something right now. But if you caught me on a live stream, let me know. I mean, drop a chat in there right now. What did I do well? What did I do wrong? Or I could have improved upon? Because that's what this whole live stream is about. It's celebrating this accomplishment, but it's also celebrating you guys, because your input is what makes our channels what they are. You know, I know Jason wouldn't be where he is without his subscribers. You guys are there to give him that advice, back him up, let him know. Even in the stream from earlier, go check out the live stream if you missed it. I was just doing with Jason over at Dear Well Christian. We had people in the chat helping us out, answering questions. We were even confused at one point. We had someone in the chat giving us advice, helping us out. So you guys it's a collaborative process. It's not just me putting out content and then you watch it like a bunch of robots. It's this interactive experience. And I hope that what my videos accomplish is helping you to think better, helping you to think well, not just teaching you what to think, but how to think, how to look at problems. Even if you don't agree with me, even if you watch a video and you say, hey, I don't agree with that. I think you got this wrong. And here's why. Giving a justification. If I've done that, I've done my job. It's like Dennis Prager says, I prefer clarity to agreement. Right? I'd rather you be clear on why you disagree with me and be able to articulate it, rather than agree with me, but not really actually agree with me because you don't really know what I believe. Right? You think you agree, but you don't. You have a shallow view of what I believe. I don't want you to be shallow. I want you to be deep. I don't want you to be lukewarm. I want you to be hot or cold. I want you to have a use. I want you to follow 1 Peter 3:15, but in your hearts revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect. So, yeah. Let's listen to that one more time.
Honey, Womb to Tomb Apologetics is on.
Today
I think that's pretty snappy. I think that's pretty good. And I made a new outro as well, which is pretty good. It looks like kind of like a 1950s TV type thing. But this guy's video is like 25 minutes long. I'm gonna try to trim the fat off of that to get that down. Maybe I can trim it down to like, I don't know, like a 15-minute video. Keep my commentary concise and interact with it. What's this? Axel? Oh my gosh, your name is all crazy over here. This is a 100 subscriber special live stream, if that's what you're referring to. If you're referring to the video on the screen, this is a sneak preview of a video I'm making. Just a really quick, small bit of the intro. But, we're just hanging out here, having fun. I think I'm going to be wrapping it up pretty soon, though. But, yeah, hi, Axe. Whatever your last name is there. Yay, he says, 100, woohoo. Thanks for celebrating with us, man. I appreciate it. It's good to have people on here. It's 102, he says. Yeah, look at that. See, I was at 98 just an hour ago. 98, and here I am. I'll give you +1, he says. Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate that. And again, if you find my content valuable, yeah, go ahead, subscribe. And if you disagree with me on something, guess what? Like I was saying earlier, that's totally fine. You don't have to agree with me on everything I believe. I'm just here to spread ideas, spread critical thinking, and that's the end of it. And if you disagree, please, come in and express your views. I want to hear. I want to engage with your thoughts too. This is a completely dissent allowable zone. that we have on my channel. I allow people to come in and disagree with things that I say. That's completely fine. I just want you to back it up, you know? So that's what this channel is about. It's about looking at uh, different ideas, different views, and just exploring. Like I said, I prefer clarity to agreement. He says, I like your voice. You should voice act for a character, LOL. Well, thank you. Maybe you should actually, he says. Well, thank you. Man, I thought my voice was pretty bad. I was like, man, I'm feeling like my voice is like crazy over here, but I'm glad I hear people giving me good advice on this, good feedback on this. I was thinking, I try to learn from the greats. Another good faceless YouTube channel is Think Before You Sleep. I recommend him too. He's very good. I thought, man, this guy's voice is definitely not made for radio. Not that he has a terrible voice or anything, but it's definitely not. He looks better than he sounds. If you've ever seen him, he looks better than he sounds. But I figure if he can succeed with a voice like he's got, I can succeed with a voice like I've got. But I appreciate the compliment. It's telling me that I got a good voice here. It says, I just have to think of a character from my show. You got a show? Oh my word, you got a show. I'm going to have to check it out. Going to be voicing characters over here soon. I'm going to be, oh my word, what is going on? But anyway, I appreciate that, Axe. That's very nice of you to say. But I can play that intro for you one more time, Axe, if you want. Show you what I'm up to.
Honey, Womb to Tomb Apologetics is on.
Today I'm going to be exploring the psychology and
So, yeah, that's what it looks like right now. Yeah, he says I didn't see it. So there we go. That's what it looks like. And that guy you're listening to in the background, he's the guy I'm going to be debunking. He's going to be talking about patriarchy. So I'm going to be sharing some thoughts on patriarchy, some thoughts that most people probably haven't heard of before. And like I said, if people disagree with me, that's completely fine. I allow that. That's good. This guy says it's good. I hope he's referring to the intro here. Dude, the voice you hear here.
Honey, Womb to Tomb Apologetics is on.
That is an AI. I got an AI to do that. It was pretty hard to track down something, but that's what I did. So I thought that was I'm pretty proud of that. I got something down there that might become my normal intro, at least for longer videos, like debunking videos anyway. That might be my normal intro, but I think it's pretty good. He says, are you political? Well, I am personally. I don't do a whole lot on this channel. I was just talking about it though. I do get into some politics. I get into feminism. So I got one video on feminism you might want to check out, talking about why feminism, I think, is a poor theory of the world and why I think alternatives are better. It's only like 7 minutes or 8 minutes, something like that. But it's very good. I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on it if you go watch it. I tackle the topic very respectfully. It's not it's sort of a very short video essay, just talking about why I think feminism is ad hoc. Why I think, that is to say, it doesn't follow Occam's razor. It's not a simple explanation. There are simpler explanations that makes more sense. He says, that's crazy. You do an AI voice. Yeah, I know. It was hard to track down a free thing to do it, but I was able to capture some audio from a 1960s. What was it? It was like a Folgers commercial or something. And I got this 1960s wife voice, and I was able to capture like about 30 seconds of her voice. I fed it into an AI and told it to say, honey, Womb to Tomb Apologetics is on. And because it's like a trad feminism, anti-feminism type thing. So I figure, 1960s, 1950s, woman type thing. That's kind of the theme, is the idea is just, look, it's 1950s font and all that. And yeah, I was able to get it to do that. That's kind of cool. He says, what alternatives? Wonderful question, X. And by the way, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you being here. So what alternatives? Well, in the video that you're looking at right now, which will come out, I don't know, maybe end of the month, maybe even after that. Might take a while because it's a pretty big video. It's like 40 minutes right now. Might be way longer than that. But in that one, I argue for what I would call biblical patriarchy. So this is not the patriarchy that the guy in the video that you hear here.
Apologetics is on.
Today, I'm going to be exploring the psychology and beliefs behind patriarchy.
That guy, he's talking about patriarchy and he says it's a bad thing. And I'm just going to be talking about why I actually disagree with that. I agree that his understanding of patriarchy is bad and harmful. I don't think that's good. But I would say the way the Bible tells men to treat women is one of incredible compassion and favor and important. You know, I always ask feminists if they come up to me and they ask me, hey, womb, do you believe in patriarchy? What, this biblical patriarchy, I think patriarchy is oppressive. Well, I say back to them, I say, well, in biblical patriarchy, we follow the Bible. That means we follow Jesus, who is to be our example, Jesus Christ. And how he treated women is how we ought to treat women. And then I'll ask the feminist, I'll say to her, could you, and I'll say this in not, it's meant to be a gotcha, but it's not meant to be mean-spirited or like, oh, I gotcha here, ha ha ha, and laugh at you. It's a serious question. I'll ask them after explaining that I'm supposed to follow Jesus. I'll say, could you cite an example that you find problematic of how Jesus treated a woman? What example of how Jesus treated a woman are you uncomfortable with Christian men imitating? And so that's a way of getting the person to really think about it, because what the answer is well, there isn't any, right? There's no example of Jesus treating a woman disrespectfully. Jesus loved women and he cherished them. And so if we're to imitate Jesus, that's a patriarchy that I hope most people can get behind. And he says, oh, you're a Christian. Respectfully, I think I am a Christian. Yes, I am. Are you? And it's okay if you're not. It's totally fine. Again, like I said, we allow anybody on this channel, anybody can come on here and have a good time and chat and do all that. So that's totally fine if you're not. We allow everybody on here. I got this atheist guy who's kind of trolling me sometimes, but he's allowed on here. I don't block him or anything, that's completely fine. Oh, an omnist, he says, because I believe in all religions. That's an interesting, I would think that's called, let me think of, what is that called? I think that's called like a pluralist, but I think omnist is an interesting one. I've never heard of that way of phrasing it, but that root word omni, meaning all, technically makes sense there. So I suppose, I don't know if that's a real word, but there you go. But he says, I believe in all religions. Let me press back on you because I would respectfully disagree, right? And that's fine. Again, you're completely allowed on the channel. Totally fine. And I love having you here. I appreciate you being here. But let me ask you a sort of a question that might get you thinking, right? Because that's what this channel is all about, is getting us to think deeper about what we believe, right? And questioning things. So you say you believe in all religions. I would say, first off, what do you mean by that? What do you mean you believe in all religions? Are you saying all of them, everything they say is true? Or do you mean what many people mean, which is they all tend to teach the same idea or the same way of getting to heaven, right? But if you by that you mean I think they all teach everything true, everything they say is true, I would respond and I would say, well, let's think about it this way. That might run you into some contradictions, because what one religion says is true, another religion, true and good, and you should do, another religion might say is sinful. So you might believe in Hinduism, for example. Hinduism is a religion, and it believes in all these different gods. But the Bible tells us in Deuteronomy 6:4, I think, 6:3 or 6:4, that's called the Shema in Judaism. But of course, Christians believe in it too. It says, the Lord your God is one. There's one God. The Ten Commandments even tell us that you shall worship the Lord your God alone. You shall have no other gods before me. Right? And so they would call that paganism. They would say that's sinful. And so I would question, respectfully, the idea that all religions are true, because that would lead us to a contradiction. And we ought not believe in a contradiction. Therefore, all religions could not be true at the same time. And so all religions could be wrong, but they certainly couldn't all be right. And so therefore, we ought to revise our thinking, revise what we think, and say, okay, what would be an alternative view? They can't all be true. Maybe there's one that's true, right? And I would advocate, obviously, because I'm a Christian, I think Christianity is true. I would say Christianity is true, and I think we have good reasons to believe it, as opposed to other religions. And one day on this channel, I'll go over a number of different religions and why I think that they're incorrect. But yeah. Oh, we got Eric. I'll see you later, Eric. I appreciate you stopping by. He says, I have to go. It's very late for me. Good night to you all. Womb to tomb. Thanks for the live, brother. Looking forward to your upcoming videos. God bless. Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate it. You have a good night. I'll probably be wrapping this up right about now because it's been an hour. But yeah. But I hope you guys found some value in this. Well, let's see what he says. Okay. He says, Axe is telling us, I respect all religions and believe that every religion is good and are interesting to learn about. You know, I would agree with you on that second part for sure. I think a lot of religions are very fascinating to learn about. It says every religion is good. I guess I would ask what you mean by good. What do you mean? Right? And that's a question if you watch my first live stream, if you ever go back and watch that, you'll notice I keep asking that question. What do you mean by that? It's such a powerful question, X. It's such a powerful question. What do you mean by that? It's so powerful because it enables us to go deeper in our conversations with one another when we disagree and truly understand each other before we go into attack mode. Now, sometimes you can't do that in a live chat like this. You can't keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You can't type that quick and I can't talk that quick. But it's a helpful thing if you're in person. Ask people, oh, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? All religions are good. What do you mean? I respect all religions. I would say I respect different people. Like, for instance, I would say I respect my Muslim friends. I have Muslim friends. I love Muslims. And the reason I love Muslims is because they're made in the image of God. That's what the Bible teaches me. They're made in the image of God. And so they have innate dignity, and God loves them too. And if God loves them, I need to love them too. But I wouldn't say that I love Islam. I don't love Islam. I think Islam is bad, and I think it's a wrong religion. I think it leads people astray. Now, it sounds like you disagree with me there, and that's fine. But that's what I would say. So I would say I respect people of different religions. I respect Muslims, but I don't necessarily respect their religion because I think the religion is wrong, and I think it can sometimes be harmful. Not all of it's harmful. I think they get some things right, but I think they get carried away with things. For instance, I think that Islam is wrong for, oh gosh, I've got a whole series coming one day on probably 30 different arguments for why I think Islam is incorrect. But one of them is I think it goes backwards, It understands certain things, but it goes too far. It says women need to be modest. I agree with that. I think women should dress modestly. I think that's important. But I don't think they should wear a full headdress, a whole thing that covers them all up. I think that goes a little far. They say fasting is good. I think fasting is good too. I agree with that. But I don't think the purpose of fasting is fasting for a whole month and then engorging yourself at night, which is what they do during Ramadan. If I have that correct, they fast for 30 days, but they eat at sundown. That's not how a Christian fast works. In a Christian fast, you actually just don't eat. You drink water. You can drink water. You can drink plenty of that. But you can't eat for as long as you decide to. And this is what's called in Christianity what we call starving the flesh. We're starving the flesh. And that allows us to become closer to God in spirit because we are denying our flesh, so to speak. And it's for a time. It's not the whole time, right? Eventually you go back to it. But Jesus fasted for I think it was 40 days in the wilderness. That's pretty powerful. And then he was tempted by Satan, and he withstood the test out there, proving himself to be sinless, which is pretty good. He says, I think they are all something you can benefit from and help for stuff. I don't know how to phrase it. Sorry. No, that's fine. That's totally fine. And you know what? You will find a lot of value in my channel. I'm glad you subscribed. You know why? Because you're going to find a lot of value here. If you go look at my channel description, and you'll see right there, I teach you how to articulate arguments. So sometimes, and that's a good thing, by the way, you're actually using a very good advanced rhetorical technique that a lot of people, they have too big of an ego to admit it. They say, you just said, I don't know how to phrase it, sorry. That's okay, because you know what? That shows humility. That shows, hey, there's something I don't know. I just can't remember at the time. Please be patient and charitable with me. That's an important thing that a lot of people sometimes don't do. A lot of people want to pretend like they know it all, and they never want to admit, I don't know something. But that's a powerful tool, to just be able to admit, to be humble. Jesus tells us to be humble, right? We ought to be humble, like you were just demonstrating there, Acts. When you say, hey, I don't know, that's okay. It's okay. No one's going to get mad at you for not knowing something, right? And they can't. And if they do, they're a jerk. Sorry, I don't know. I don't remember. I'll have to think about it. That's okay. I've done that before. And I've been complimented before on that by people who say, wow, you know what? I really appreciate in you the integrity that you have and the humility that you have to admit when you don't know something and say, hey, I'm going to research this and I'm going to get back to you. People appreciate that. And it's a very charismatic quality. So I'm going to give you that compliment right now, X. That's pretty good. I like that about you. You're going to find a lot of value in my channel because that's exactly what I teach people how to do, is how to use persuasion and rhetoric to persuade people and to think deeper about the things that we believe. And also how to articulate the things we believe in the best way possible. So he says, I think there's something you can benefit from in all of them. And I would say that's generally true. I think there's things you can benefit from. But I would part from you there. So I would agree with that. And then I would disagree with the other part, which is the idea that I would disagree on the idea that all of them lead to salvation. I think all of these religions tell us different things. In Islam, worshiping Jesus is called shirk. That's a sin you can't be forgiven from. If you're committing shirk and you don't repent, you go to hell because you're worshiping someone who isn't God. But on Christianity, Jesus is God. He's God in the flesh. That's amazing. And to worship him is right and proper. And so Jesus tells us, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Meaning, we need Jesus for our salvation. So both those religions are telling us two different things. So I would disagree on that point. But I would agree with you on the other idea that each of them has maybe something that's important and beneficial that we can learn from. I don't think that Islam gets everything completely exactly wrong, but I think it gets a lot of stuff exaggerated. It tells us women should be modest, but then it says cover them up completely. It says you should fast, but then it teaches us to fast in a way that I don't think is very helpful and as meaningful. And then it, et cetera, et cetera. It keeps going. There's more examples I could give. But yeah. I would like to see other people's thoughts and opinions. I agree. But we only got 2 people on here. But you know what? I'm going to keep doing, guess what? I'm going to keep doing live streams with my dear friend Jason from Dear Woke Christian. That's what he calls himself. That's his channel name. It's called Dear Woke Christian. And you can watch those live streams right now if you want. But I'm going to do more with him, and maybe you'll be able to join in those chats too, and see what they're saying over there. And feel free, by the way, guess what? Like I say, even though you disagree with me on things, that's totally fine. You go through and you watch some of my videos, and if you disagree, you tell me in the comments. And maybe I'll even respond, and I'll tell you, oh, here's why I think this way. That's completely fine. You go right ahead. You know, Jesus tells me to love y'all, even if you even if you disagree, to treat you with gentleness and respect. I want to quote to you right now from Scripture. It says in 1 Peter 3:15. I've already talked about this, but I'm going to say it again. 1 Peter 3:15 from the Bible tells us. He says this: "But in your hearts revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give a reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect." That's what it says in Scripture. And so I try my best to do that. Maybe I'm not. Hopefully I try to be gentle and respectful. Sometimes maybe I go a little off the rails. Who knows? Happens to the best of us. But that's what I strive to. That's what I strive to. I hope I do that. So, yeah, but thank you so much for stopping by, Axe. I appreciate that. It's so good to have you here. I'll have to check out your channel after I'm done here. It sounds pretty cool. You got this show going on and all that. Oh, my word. You sound like a pretty fun person. So thanks for subscribing. I appreciate it. Look at this. I'm already up to, let's see how many subscribers. I'm up to 103 now, probably. 103. Look at that. Wow. I will definitely watch your videos. Yeah. I recommend highly, out of maybe the ones that I've done so far, I don't have too many up yet. Fair warning. I would recommend my first video on when life begins, and then my last 3 videos, or 2 videos, I think. Let me look. My last 2 videos. The one on feminism, and then the one on Are Christians hypocrites for eating shellfish, which is a clip from my live streams. And then the other ones I would recommend are my other live streams. I think those are my best ones. The other ones, maybe not the best. Maybe not the best videos. The other ones are just some recorded speeches. And my second video is not very good, I'm afraid to say. But yeah. Let's see. I know some topics on my show are controversial, but I don't mean to offend anyone at all. That's wonderful. I appreciate that. Can you tell us what topics do you cover? I'm interested. Axe. Let me look up. Let me look this up. Axe. Let me look up your channel. Tell me what you cover. That's good. I'm glad that you branch out. I'm glad that you're out there and you like to talk about things that maybe not everybody's comfortable with. But you know what? You're willing to dip your toe in the water, so to speak. Axe, duh. Oh, there we go. It pops up. Let's see. Oh, wow. You got 490. That's pretty good. Dang. Look at you. Look at you go. You got animation there. Man, I'm going to have to check this. Let's see. Popular. Huh. Interesting. Wow. Wow, you got a lot of really good stuff here. Look at that. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. It's good to meet you. I hope we can see more of you in the future. Well, anyway, my computer's just about out of juice, so I gotta let you guys go. But it's been so much fun with you guys. I appreciate y'all being here, and yeah, it's just great to have someone around who can appreciate things. It says some of the characters are LGBT. Some are different religions and have different races and backgrounds. Some use cuss words. Yeah, I saw a little bit of that on there. You know what? That's okay. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. And you know what? It sounds like, yeah, maybe you disagree with me on a few things. That's okay. You are absolutely welcome here to shed your ideas on things. Maybe I'll make a few videos on certain things like that. That's really good. I appreciate you being here, brother or sister or whoever you might be. I'll assume you're a guy, I guess. I don't know. X sounds like a masculine name. X. But anyway, I that's awesome. Just to have you here, hanging out with us. Anyway, my computer's about to die, so let's see. I would love to see your opinions and ideas